Good morning, Zoom fam. Good morning, Zoom family.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. I am the troublemaker herself, Jennifer Bush Harris, the author of the novel Ruby. Again, can y'all hear? Because I'm gonna ask the Zoom family to mute because we're recording in class too. So thank y'all so much. I'm gonna ask everybody on Zoom to mute because I can hear reverb from over here. Thank y'all. Y'all are the best. But I am honored to be here with y'all this morning as early as it is, and thank you again to my sister from another mister, soon to be Dr. Jennifer Julian of the wonderful establishment of TSU, and my wonderful internet nephew Dante for his help and support over the last 2 days. If pressed, when people ask me about what inspired me to write Ruby, actually it was my family story growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, which is about 10-11 hours from here, and also my mother's growing up in Mississippi. So actually the impetus for Ruby was I had this idea where I was doing something else really random. And my husband at the time, I said, what if there was a guy who was married to a woman only to find out that she wasn't really the one that he wanted? So their whole relationship is based on a lie and for settling for that. And so when I told him that, he said, Jen, that sounds horrible. What story is that? I said, I don't know, but I gotta write it. So from that particular question came a 6-page short story, then became really the first 60 pages. I let it rest, and then came the succeeding 150 pages. So I have had people inbox me and tell me that the story is amazing. I've had Black women inbox me and say, Catherine is the most evil white woman I've ever seen or read about. I can't believe this. And even my own mother, when she read it, and I called to check on her randomly, and she said to me, I can't talk right now. I said, Mom, what's wrong? She said, Jennifer Catherine, that's an evil woman, just an evil woman. She's almost threw the book. I said, why did you throw the book? She said, I didn't want to lose my place. So I'm honored that Professor Julian has chosen to teach Ruby for freshman comp. So one of the things that I must admonish all of you as you're on your journey as far as education is concerned and writing is concerned, that the stories of Black people matter. No matter where they come from or who is telling them, they matter, right? Because one of the things that I am reminded that James Baldwin said is Black people need witnesses in the world that thinks everything is white. We need witnesses in a world that thinks all stories are designated, right, for the white gaze and for the white gaze and for the consumption of the white gaze. So one of the things that I believe that we as Black writers do not just academically, but we are the record, right? We are the record. And for that cause, I hope that y'all actually read Ruby, maybe rereading Ruby. I actually told Professor Julian, I said, I think Ruby is one of those books that you need to read with some people because inevitably you will come across a spot that you will need to discuss with some folks. I remember my cousin Aaliyah read it, and she told her mom and she told her mother and father, Tony and Lori, about it. And she said that her mother, Lori, actually read the book on, so I sent her the Word doc because her book was in transit. So she read the book on the Word doc. And then she said she cursed out the phone, threw the phone, picked the phone back up, only to continue to read it. But I gave a little bit of backstory. So I want to kind of open everything up for questions, anything that y'all necessarily want to ask me. I know it's early, and no question for the book is off limits. And I do, and Jen, I don't know if any of the students actually have their actual copy of the book. So after our session, I'll be more than happy to autograph it if you all would want. But questions, like, yeah, like anything y'all want to add. There's nothing off limits. It took me a year to write Ruby, through raising children, divorces, random acts of confusion. But so, what is it that y'all if you could pick my brain about it?
Yes, that is former President Donald Trump working a McDonald's drive.
No question. Yes.
Was the writing process particularly hard during that year?
Yes and no. At the time I started writing Ruby, my children who are now 17 and 15. Yes, the kid is 43. So yeah, I actually have teenagers now. But when I actually started writing Ruby, it started off as flash fiction. So because I didn't quite know where I wanted to go with it yet, but I couldn't let that question go. And I'm a big believer of, if an idea comes to you more than twice, you need to write it down. So for me, it was hard because I had to find time to write. But then when I got into it, it became easier. So for me, it's always a matter of what time do I have and maximizing that time. Because there was times I could sit down and write two or three chapters. Then there'd be times that I had to be mom. I could only write 2 to 3 pages. So it was, but I made the consistent effort to finish it, because there were times, I got to the end of part 1 and was like, I just can't do anymore. And then there was actually a friend of mine, also a Jennifer Newell, who she read the first draft of part 1, and she said, no, you need to keep going. This is really good. So the writing process for me for this particular book was more about time. Like, I was even working overnights at a hospital, and when I would have to do observations, and I don't recommend this because you can get in trouble, but what happened is I had 12 hours, and I'm like, I could write Ruby right now, and I would have like my earphones in, watching whatever, listening to music, and I would just write because then I had time. My patients were good, my charting was done. So sometimes I would sit up and write for 2 hours. So it's a matter of finding that time to actually write it. More questions? Like I said, yeah, I know it's early. I know it's early. No other questions? Oh, and the artwork for the book was done by my friend Kai Ellis. I actually just told him about the story, and he actually created the cover and sent it to me, and I cried. I'm like, this is exactly what I was going for. Because his thing is, and take this as you go, if you're going to self-publish because self-publishing can be fraught with problems, but he always tells me to invest in your covers because people are going to remember that. But I saw somebody's hand. Yes, beloved.
What made you give him like a sequence? Like, was it dementia or something?
It was dementia-like. I actually got the idea for his illness from watching the documentary The Bloody Edge, because I didn't for my day job is in healthcare. So what I did not know is when you get certain body parts for replacement, like hips and shoulders and like that, if the joint is not sealed properly, that those minerals can leach into your blood and it can mimic dementia. So I wanted him to, if I could be honest, because we family, I did not want to make Ruben clean. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has their own issues and proclivities and past and things. I did not want to make him gold. I didn't want to make him gold star, if that makes any sense. So the best way I thought to maximize on the again, not everything being what it seems, because the relationship that he and Catherine has is kind of parallels what's happening to him mentally, because it's not what it seems. Neither is their relationship. this is good. This is good. Again, y'all. Again, if y'all read it, I'm sure somebody read it. Like, I can't believe she wrote this down. When she come, I need to ask her some. I got some questions and concerns. So again, pick my brain, especially now because there are certain people who have read the book who are like, I want the sequel, and that's people on that's the fam that's on the Zoom chat also who are like, well, Jen, when are you writing the sequel? I'm like, I'm working on it. There's some things that I'm trying to smooth out as it relates to the sequel to see what else my invisible people have to say. But we gonna see. So no other. Yes, beloved. Why not? I mean, there is, because when I conceptualized this, I was always going to make Catherine white, because there is this presumption, right, especially in the climate that we're in now, that the lives of white women are always, iron smooth, as my mom would say. Like that they face no problems. Everything is crafted for their comfort. And as you read, and again, a little bit of a spoiler, you see that her relationship with Barbara is adversarial, but Barbara is only respectful to her because that's her brother's wife. So again, everything is not as it seems. So I was always going to make her white because I wanted to peel back that veneer that said, especially there's with my sister Kelly, who probably watches on the playback. So I'm saying hi, Kel, before you see it, that there's this presumption that and my friend Kelly works in family law. And Kelly says she can't count how many times that she's heard white women say that, black men don't like black men, that white women are all that white men want. And we're like, ooh, babes, who's gonna tell her? That's not always true. That's not always true. More questions. This is good, y'all. This is good. You could even pull to a specific passage and read that and ask me questions about that. Make it. You have me here to pick my brain. And again, this helps me to develop the sequel.
But there's something about the relationship between Catherine and Reuben, which is kind of sad. And I mean, because we know he settled for her.
Right.
Because he couldn't be with the woman that he really wanted to be with.
Right.
And that's partly because of the times, partly because of family pressure and societal pressure.
Right.
But she's constantly chasing his affection, even as he's losing his mind and his memory of her. So I will give her a little bit of grace for that, saying that there's something sad about that, always chasing after someone's love who you love, but who doesn't necessarily love you in return. It's like, but she also knew he was in love with someone else.
Right. So
it's like, how much of that is your fault? How much of that is just the situation and the circumstances fault? Because you could have been with a man that really wanted you.
But remember what Barbara said. She said that you got with my brother because of what he had, what he was building. You didn't. And Barbara tells her near the end of part 1, spoiler, that you got with my brother because of what he could give you. So we see here that Barbara never liked her. like Barbara knew and again, as y'all go through the intermission, you'll see the relationship that Barbara and Reuben have, but we see in that dynamic that, again, this veil that said it almost feels very much like, and I'm gonna craft this metaphor carefully. We know that from a historical vantage point, there have always been Black folks in the background. We've always observed. We've always watched. We've always had the insider information. So, again, one of the reasons why I wanted to make Catherine white, almost as in like you as a Black person are breaking the fourth wall, because she presents to the world as Catherine Lewis, who's married to Reuben Lewis, and we have this, and we have the kids, we have the house, we have all these things. But her life is not that. Her life is not that. Her life is strung together off what she could create. And now that illusion is breaking, she's breaking right along with it. And she doesn't know how to handle that. and even, you know, the very adversarial relationship that she has with her daughter Megan. Because at first I was talking to again my writer friend Jen about this, and I was just like beating up on Catherine. I didn't give her no grace. All the bad stuff was gonna happen to her. And I actually gave her a sweeter spot of, you know, their anniversary, you know, of her having this moment of comfort, of, you know, Reuben coming back to her, as it were, you know, the music, and, you know, having and even the song as time goes by, and her having that moment that says, you know, he's mine again. But again, with us, like in the background, like, but is he really? Does he really belong to you? Or why do you need him to belong to you? But any more questions? Yes, but
How do you set it so far back in time?
because I thought that was for what I wanted to do, that was the best fit. And my mom is sorry, mama, but my mom actually remembers Gaslight Square in St. Louis as a teenage girl. She remembers when, you know, the comedian Dick Gregory was there. She remembers when Barbara Streisand was there. So for what I wanted to do, I had to set it far back enough that while reading it, you would go, oh man, that was really happening, and also bring it forward enough to be like, oh, you know, because the lives of our parents and grandparents are more complicated than what we think they are. So me setting it in the late 1950s, I had to put the historical context into it also. Like, this is why they couldn't be together, because Loving v. Virginia didn't happen until what, 67, 68?
Yeah.
So they couldn't even be together. And also there are famous people like Lena Horne, who had, you know, her husband wasn't black. Pearl Bailey, her husband, you know, wasn't black. So there were these instances that you did have interracial marriage, but it wasn't widespread. So in putting the intermission in the 1950s, to me, maximized my need to bring history into this also. And also in a way, you know, to honor my mom, to think when she thinks I don't listen to her about the story she tells when she was growing up. So it fit for the historical time period I needed it to be in, because I needed them to be old but not elderly. You know what I'm saying? Like for right now, you know, my mom will be 75 next year, right? So I needed to be set far enough back that. And looking back, and y'all find this as you continue to age, that you'll have time to look back and be like, oh man, you know, I did really care for that person. Oh, that person really did care for me. Or then, as I'm experiencing now, that, you know, my mom wasn't always my mom. So she had these proclivities, these things that she was on, and certain things that I've already know she gonna die with. She ain't gonna never tell. Just like, again, a little bit more of a spoiler. For part 2, we see Ethline, which is Ruby's real name, and her daughter's dynamic, because her daughter is saying, well, you know, mom, you know, notes on St. Louis call, you ain't gonna call these people, and she tells, you know, you ain't gonna pull my whole card. You know, you can't make me do nothing. There are also certain things as Black women that we're going to keep, that you can't. There has to be something that you keep for yourself.
I want to say for that.
Yes.
A lot of times when we're growing up, we see our parents as just our parents. It's like, that's always going to be mama, that's always going to be daddy.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden we find a picture of them from when they were in their 20s, and it's like, who this?
Right.
Because we're used to them like with the gray hair or the full beard, or like be mama or daddy, depending on
Eddie. Right.
And then you're like, my mom was cute. How many of you watched, and I hate segue added this, the freaking expression?
Y'all could be honest.
You can be honest. All right. How many of y'all realized that was some of y'all parents? Oh, trust me.
You what?
I asked beforehand. I said, listen, did you go? No, I was in the military. Yeah.
Oh, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
But that's something a lot of people don't realize. Your parents had a life before you. So the same things that you're doing now, that your parents are warning you about, now, That's based off of experience.
Indeed.
Especially if they are holy rollers.
Them the worst ones,
They're the
John.
worst ones. The reason they went back to church and went back to God is because they were at frequent. They were in clubs 21. They were over there. They were at the Kappa Step show.
Ooh.
They were friends with the Omegas.
Kappa Beach Party.
Friends in quotation.
Kappa Beach Party.
Oh. Look here now. He's early.
Yeah. Y'all too young for that Kappa Beach Party. But you get what we're talking about. So setting a linear timeline gives us this peek at they were like us.
Yep.
And makes them more human. Because right now we just think of them, oh, those aren't parents. It's like, no, those are living, breathing human beings. And it gives us a way to empathize with them. Mm-hmm. Even though your mamas and your daddies and your aunties and your grandmamas are not gonna tell you everything. Trust them, do that.
No, they won't.
They won't. I have 10 more minutes for this class, and then the other class comes in. Would you like to sign books for the
Yes. PM. I
have a whole bit backpack. I am a teacher.
I know. I just need a pen.
That's what I said. I got a whole backpack. I'm a teacher.
But my home training says don't go in the bag unless you ask.
Don't just St. Louis ain't nothing but Mississippi.
But you said, look.
And Mississippi, Louisiana on the side.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
We don't go in bags. You know what you're gonna buy.
Right.
Well, I ain't got nothing in there.
That in that bag.
In that one.
All right. Y'all can come up and I can sign them. You know, it's up to y'all. Again, I know it's early. I remember having 8 o'clock. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the best. Thank you, beloved.
I feel bad because it's 8 o'clock.
Oh, dude, what you said?
Listen,
where you were signing back?
I did one. Up on the roof.
And normally when I sign, I put the date on it. So today is the 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
There you go, babe.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I love it.
Interesting.
Child.
I'm from Atlanta.
Oh, where?
City.
Oh, girl.
So it's like seeing a piece of home, but it's still so different. So.
Mm-hmm. There you go, babe. Hi. Thank you, right?
Anyone else brought the books?
All right, and no more questions. Things you want to pick my brain about before class is over. Again, like I said, I know it's early.
These are my good babies, but it's hella early.
I know it's so early.
It's like if I know some of them, they got up at 6 o'clock to try to get across town to get over here.
Ooh-wee.
Okay, I'm gonna pause this recording.
No problem.
So that we can.
Yes.
And then also so I can do like the other work because I love them pieces, but I know they're ready to go get breakfast.
Right.
How many of you ate breakfast this morning? We gonna box, y'all.
Right. And up from the chat. Oh, Miss Cookie Ann is up. Cookie Ann is up. What did I say? She said
she was gonna make it.
She is a matriarch of this space. You have to catch it when you catch it, like the prophets. She said parents were people before they were parents. We did some of the same things these young people do now, just no social media.
Yeah, because here's the thing about these cell phones.
We were always recording.
Man.
Street lights.
This is why I need to tell y'all about these lovely phones with like the cameras on them. They weren't available widely in the US until 2001. So 2001. We had lives before everybody started recording.
Look, that's why there's certain albums you can't have access to.
Okay.
Certain boxes you can't go in the attic.
There's certain clothes you can't wear.
I'm just gonna be a hussy
And for those who have taken me before, y'all heard the story of my 21st birthday.
Oh Lord.
Only persons who know about that is the people who were there with me.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
That's how it's supposed to be.
All right,
Sometimes you were just there.
That's
You don't
it.
even remember.
Like, what you mean? You look, I wasn't there, and were you there? No. Okay, then what are we discussing? Nothing.
Okay. Tierra. Ariana. Noah. Kirsten. Eat some breakfast. You already heard me.
Ooh.
JB, I see you in the back chilling. Nice haircut. LaDavion. Hey, baby love. Keenan. And Maya. Maverick. You'll probably slip in the next one. Terry. Hello, lovey. Amaya. Hey, baby love. Alina, honey.
My godmom Janet said, "What happened at our gathering stayed at our gathering." Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for coming this morning.
I know you do.
I got good babies.
You do.
I love my babies.
You do.
Malachi.
You know when their parents don't immunize for them now? Because it happened to me. You turn the age that they were when they had you.
Yeah. Be careful about that. Like, figure out how old your parents are now versus your age.
Because when I turned 26 and I realized this is when my mama had a child, I said, "Ooh, baby."
Right, like
okay. Michaela.
Nothing about this is together. I don't look. I'm worried about you.
Listen,
I'm worried about you.
Because from 26 to now, you've been a mama.
I just know.
Samaja.
Shemaya. Really get out there.
Jace and Soraya. Yeah. Hello, babies. Okay, we'll start on the movies on Wednesday. Okay. All right. Look at my sister.
Yeah, because well-behaved women seldom make history.
Everybody.
And all day in the mall. And Cookie said we were scared of our parents.
We were scared of getting caught by our parents.
Oh, and my mom's on. Hi, Mama. Mama, this Dante. He picked me up from the airport, so I was fine. This is Jen. I'm fine. I'm safe.
Oh, we're gonna make sure.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it.
My mama pray and fight.
Yes, and we're
Paula Peter, which one you want?
And we're gonna
Good
take
morning,
pictures.
everybody. Good morning.
Mama, I'm going to take pictures outside the building and in front of the TSU. In front of the TSU.
Sounds wonderful. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ma.
I like your mom.
And cousin, morning, cousin.
Good morning.
Yes.
I love how they sound.
Okay. I just don't have the camera on because I look a little raggedy right now.
It's all right though. It's all right.
Good morning, Jay.
Good morning.
Listen, make sure you get pictures in front of the podium so you're gonna be that real speaker on some of your thumbnail pictures.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, look.
Yes.
I've been extra.
Jen is.
I've been extra.
Okay.
And I'll make sure I send them. I'll make sure I send you some pictures. Yes.
Okay. Watermark your pictures.
Yeah, of course. But we have a few minutes until the next class starts. So
I'm so excited.
yes. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, cousin. It's gonna be good. But ma'am, Janet, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
This is history in the making. Oh gosh.
Don't cry, because then I'm gonna cry, and then Dante gonna cry, and then Jen gonna cry. Don't cry.
My makeup was waterproof. I'm gonna be good.
We don't need crying. We're not gonna cry. We're just we're gonna celebrate. We're gonna uplift.
Indeed.
I'm very proud of you, Jan.
Good morning. Hi, Mama Charlotte.
Good morning, beautiful.
Where is my godfather?
He's at work.
Oh, see, but he's also sent him the link. I'm telling you.
Right. We love you.
But Mom, we got a few minutes. We got a few minutes from to the next class starts. So Cleo, I'm gonna answer some more questions. You can get your
Okay.
coffee. You can get your coffee and stuff.
Oh, all right. Thank you, sweetie.
And it's gonna be recorded. So I'll make sure I send you and John the whole thing.
All right, I'm on here, babe. I'm listening.
Thank you.
I got to that. Need help? All right, here's my daddy. I'm not paying for this.
Okay, when I tell y'all,
Yes, indeed. Also, Liam is home today because he had a stomach bug. So when he comes in and starts talking, I'll just mute the mic so he's not all loud on the mic.
when I tell y'all,
Indeed.
Because Puddin' be loud.
A little bit.
A little bit.
But I'm pretty, and I look like I belong to Bessie this morning. Can we just pray
You do.
God for that?
You Bessie child.
I look like I
are
belong
Bessie
to
child.
I look like I belong to somebody.
Yeah.
Can I not take your number?
Got the eyeshadow on. We see it.
All right, hello again, Zoom family. We're doing session number 2. We are rolling this morning. Good morning to anyone who has jumped in, jumped off. Morning to my adopted mother, Charlotte, my amazing aunt Cookie Ann, and my cousin Aaliyah. So thank y'all so much. And my mom may jump back on here in a minute. So shouts to Mama J Bird. Hashtag if you know, you know. But good morning again, dearest ones. And I am the troublemaker herself, Professor Jen Julian's little sister from Missouri, who wrote that book that you may still be reading, maybe have thrown once or twice by now, Ruby. If asked and pressed, what made me write Ruby, it comes from the question of what if there was a guy who was married to a woman and she was not really the one that he wanted. I have sold this book out of the trunk of my car, on Amazon. Even my biological mother has read it and almost threw it across the room. I asked her, why didn't you throw it? She said, I didn't want to lose my spot. So there are, it is historical fiction. And again, I thank you again to my big sister for teaching this book. Because when she brought it to me, I said, sis, I knew that, you do your thug fizzle with your children, but but she said, I could teach. I said, you gonna teach Ruby? She was like, yeah. I was like, my little. But she also said that she's read it 3 times and thrown it. So, but a little bit of the backstory. Ruby is set in 3 parts. There's the first part that's told by Catherine. The second, the intermission, which I had the most fun writing. And then the last part, which actually is told by Etheline, aka Ruby herself. I did make Catherine white for reasons that we'll get into here in a second. But the one thing I want to emphasize is that the storytelling for us as Black folk has always been what we do. It's always what we do. The oral tradition of storytelling for us is how we passed memories, how we relate messages, how we kept history. So one of the things I'm proud to do as a Black writer, or a writer who happens to be Black. I prefer Black writer because that's just who I be. And that I'm proud of that intersection. One of those things is that I believe is emphasis to what I do is it comes from the James Baldwin quote that says, Black people need witnesses in a world that thinks everything is white. We need witnesses in a world that thinks everything is white. And also for historical context, one of the reasons why I made it historical fiction is to honor my mom, who actually remembers Gaslight Square in St. Louis, who remembers seeing Dick Gregory and running around being whatever she was doing at that age, whatever, when all these things were occurring. But it was actually, if I'm pressed, it took me about a year to write Ruby, year and a half, 2 years, including rewrites, stopping, raising kids, and divorcing people. So, but I'm open to questions, comments, concerns, vibes. I mean, but I'm here for you to pick my brain, especially because I have the sequel to write, and the chat is anxious for me to write the sequel also. So, thoughts? There is no question for the book that's off limits. The cover was made by my friend, who will probably see this on the replay, Kai Ellis, who you can find on Facebook. He does logos, book covers, and graphic art. That art is what he does. So when I gave him the story, he actually created the cover out of whole cloth. Like, I didn't give him any pointers. I didn't give him no colors. I told him, this is what I'm on. This is what I believe what the story is going to be about. And he created that cover in I want to say Kai did in 3 weeks. So I literally told him about the story, and then he gave me the cover. So, and I cried because it was like he pulled it out of my imagination, which it is a testament to his gift. But comments, questions, yes.
Where did you start to get the initial inspiration for this book, and how did your train of thought get you to finishing it and saying, I want to write more than one?
I like to think of writing as a comfortable form of psychosis because ideas will come from anywhere. I literally was on my couch and this idea came in. And also I worked in long-term care at the time. So I've seen people who, were one way when they were younger, and then as they age, their memory and their mind goes, and they go back to a time that is easy for them to remember. most research especially as it relates to dementia research, tells us that it's easier for people when they're in their 60s plus to remember when they were 20. It's easier to do that, and harder to remember like things like their name, where they are. So what made me focus on that is this. It actually was, if I would put a finer point on it, when I was working at St. Louis University Hospital, again in St. Louis, I worked on a telefloor. So everybody had a heart monitor or some neuro issue going on. And there was this older Black woman there, and she had had surgery, and her granddaughter had brought her there. And the thing that was so heartbreaking is she said, my mom, she said, that's my grandma, and sometimes I can get her to come back to me. Like now I can't get her to come back to me. Like it was hard for her to orient. Otherwise she's healthy, but her mind was slipping to the point that even the person closest to her, her granddaughter, couldn't get her to come back. And one of the reasons why I thought that writing Ruby would be somewhat therapeutic is kind of to honor that, because a lot of us sometimes think that I know I'm experiencing this now, that we think of our parents and grandparents on some level are immortal, that nothing will ever happen. They'll never die. They'll never get sick. They'll never have a stroke. They'll always know who I am. And there is a sensitivity in that I wanted to pinpoint and also expose, because what we see in, constructing Catherine, constructing, part one of this is everything in Catherine's life is constructed, from the image to how her children are raised to how she gets married, moves, where everything is constructed. And the writing of this actually once I held on to that dementia aspect, again, for what the young Black woman said about trying to orient and bring back her grandmother, the writing became easier. Because again, I was working in this particular sector. I saw what it was like when people were, fighting with their mothers and grandmothers. Again, could you see the person who's suffering with dementia frustrated and angry because they can't remember, and then you have people who are trying to take care of them and they're rebuffing that. I don't need this, and I'm fine when they think they're fine, but nothing is as it seems. So once I really locked into that and honed it, and the writing became easier, then it just became the mechanics of, as I like to call it, the mechanics of imagination. So I had this thought, working this particular thought through flash fiction. For me, flash fiction is like maybe 2 pages to kind of see where I'm going, and then if I like it, I'll build on that. So but that was just the most heartbreaking thing that I'd seen, because she said I'm always able to orient her, to let her know I could always get her to come back to me, but now I can't get her to come back to me. So she was trying to hold it together, obviously, because it's her grandmother. But and even when she left, because visiting hours were over, this same older Black woman, I would tell her where she was and trying to orient her, and she didn't believe me. But not that she got violent, that she goes, no, I just need to speak to so and so, so and so. And her granddaughter had told me, she'll ask for these people and tell them that these people, one person is like not alive, the other person was sick or not there, and trying to give her that information, she just rebuffed that. She's like, no, I need to talk to so and so. I'm like, Miss so and so, she's not here. Well, she need to be here because I'm ex so and so and so and so, and I need to get up and go to work. They're like, no, you're in the hospital. No, I'm not. So. But it's heartbreaking, but it got easier once I decided that this is the scope that I'm gonna stay in, and this is what I'm gonna build my world around. More questions? Go ahead, babe. Go ahead, because I see the questions rolling. So what? Go ahead.
You have mentioned that you took inspiration from your mother's life and from these people that you were working for.
Yeah.
What inspiration did you take from your own life? Because some of these details, man, they sound
Give me a detail, Mike. Give me a detail.
You had talked about how the cars, and like the cars were very specific. The place, I'm like, okay, you must be from here. And like, were you driving this car, or was this the car that your mom or your grandma was driving?
My dad's brothers were really into cars. So my uncle Otha, yes, Dante, I had an uncle with that country name Otha, yeah.
I told you St. Louis has nothing but Mississippi without the name.
That's it. So he had a back lot, and he had his yard in his house, at his house had classic cars in it. He had a 71 Lincoln Continental, money green with black interior. I was like, yes, I won't. And even had like a 34 Ford truck. So cars are what I grew up with. So the one thing that I tried to make Ruby that much more alive is to take those details from my childhood, take those stories that I wasn't supposed to hear when I was a little girl. And also, I'm a big fan of history, as y'all see. So bringing those things once I had those ideas, I was able to build my world, taking pieces from my life, stories that my mom had told me, stories that my daddy told me, and be able to put those things together. And again, spoiler, my father's nickname is Doc. So that's why the little boy's name is Richard. So the incident, yeah. His nickname was Doc, as far as he was very smart.
Richard. Like a doctor.
Like a doctor.
Oh, Doc. I thought you said like DOT.
No,
okay,
Doc.
Okay.
So that's my father's real name, and that was his real nickname after he finished med school. So they called him Doc because he was always smart. So I wanted to incorporate those things to make because I didn't want the book to be trauma driven. I didn't want the reader to feel like, oh my God, all these things keep happening. Where is the light at, right? I wanted the reader to say, oh man, this is something that I can definitely see happening. Because again, some instance of Ruby can be placed in people's real lives, but the details are from my massive imagination. Some things are from my personal life, and again, the details about the cars that's from my uncle Otha and my father Richard and his brothers who they like cars. That was their jam. But I'll never forget that long as I live. He had a 71 Lincoln Continental with money green and had a black interior. I remember asking, can I sit in? And they told me no. I told them, I just want to sit in. They were like, no. But it's outside. It don't matter. That feels anti-black. Like you literally, I'm like, I can't sit in it. But my dream, if I'm pressed, my dream car is a 67 Chevy Impala.
With the tan interior.
Yeah.
Saddle.
Yeah.
Black.
380 engine. I'm just that's what I want.
Black exterior.
Yes.
Custom chrome wheels.
Mm-hmm. This is why we family. Come on.
And yes. Baby.
Yes. I told y'all's other auntie that I said and Dante's forever uncle. I'm like, he gonna have to just understand that only Mama drive that car. Mm-hmm. Only I drive, and maybe Dante. Maybe Dante. Maybe. Because the person he said, auntie, I ain't putting gas. I'll drive, but I ain't putting gas.
I already got a 32.
Indeed. But more questions. Yes, beloved.
You were talking about the process that mentioned flash fiction.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So for me, and my writer girlfriends, when we say flash fiction, it's something literally that you can write within like 15 minutes to like an hour. So nothing very deep. So for me, flash fiction is what I use when I have an idea that's come at least twice, and I want to see where it can go. So Ruby started as this question that came back up twice. I'm like, okay, well let me see where I can go with it. And the best part about flash fiction is one, you don't have to share it with everybody. It can be imperfect, and you can go back and build from that. You can go back and review it. You can have, and I'm a big fan of Black writers writing in community. You can show it, you can show it to your professors. You can show it to, your other friends who are on the same vibe, and say, hey, what do y'all think about this? But also be steadfast enough to say, well, girl, I don't like it. Okay, cool, and not take that to heart, because they're looking at the work, not you. So you have to develop that wall that says they're not attacking me. They're looking at my work subjectively. And not everything is for everybody. There are people who have read Ruby and left, crazy reviews. Like, I don't know why they I'm like, okay, but that's fine. I don't get in the comments with people like that, But flash fiction to me is a way of, one, preserving an idea. Two, if I want to go back to the idea, I can revisit it. And three, a way to, build worlds, have even certain things. And again, spoiler, because, I love y'all's professor, because that's my book. I actually started doing, I'll take my horror black, which is, I may do this next year too, but y'all heard 2 sentence horror stories. So literally That's a form of flash fiction where you're coming up with something and have to make it into 2 sentences. And from that, I had, again, that's a form of flash fiction, and it's something that I can keep and go back to, something I refer to. So I use flash fiction as a tool. I use it as an exercise. I use it as something by which I can preserve the idea, because sometimes, you know, and y'all have figured in, if writing is y'all's jam and book writing what you want to do, that's something you can use. That's something you can use as an exercise for you. Because again, one of the biggest lies writers tell themselves is, I'll write it later. I'll write it down later. I'll get back to it, and back to it never comes. So flash fiction is a tool that you can use to keep an idea, work on an idea, and even share an idea. And again, with these marvelous devices, you can even voice record it. Like, okay, like again, speaking of Ruby, what if there was a guy who was married to someone only for her to find out that she's not really the one she wanted? Time, date stamp is saved. If life gets hectic, I haven't lost it. I can go back and review it, because flash fiction is a tool I cannot recommend enough. More questions? Yes, beloved. Repeat it again. The best way I can explain that is yes and no. I have been, if I'm honest, I have been on my author journey for about a decade, right? So I have blogs, essays, things that I do, and I've had to cultivate, that public confidence that says, okay, I wrote this book and this is what I do. So writer's block for me is not so much that I can't write, but what is in front of me? But for me, what am I scared to say? So I've had to do the internal work of my own writing and my own process that says, what am I scared to write? Because that's what writer's block is to me. I'm never gonna say writer's block doesn't exist. That's Neil Gaiman. I think that's cap. I think that if you as a minority writer will have a form of writer's block, but normally it comes from, and Baldwin said this, the invisible white man on your shoulder. That what is keeping you from saying what you want to say? That for me is my writer's block. Because when I was writing Ruby, I did actually have writer's block, because I actually wrote the intermission first, and then I wrote Catherine's part, and then I almost stopped and said, that's enough. I'm not gonna write no more, because it got, again, because I could see myself in this world. Everything was happening personally for me, and then I had to think, but Ruby still got something to say. So what am I afraid to say? And when I confronted that, the thing that I found that I was afraid to say is, who else would understand it and read it? Because I had to pretend, right, to be a white woman to write Catherine. So now I have to bring all of my blackness to write Etheline and give her personhood and give her a reality by which is not steeped in sorrow. So I had to confront, what am I willing to be that black on page? And once I broke through that, because child, it was definitely a breakthrough. I noticed that I take that same exercise with me as I do my other writing. Because once I come against it, once I feel writer's block coming, normally for me it's like lack of sleep, stress. I'm not focused. But for me, it's, what am I scared to say? And why am I scared to say it? If Baldwin says that Black people need witnesses in the world and thinks everything is white, and I as a writer, I as a poet, I as a social historian, if I'm a record of somebody's life, what am I afraid to say? And why am I afraid to say that? Because I shouldn't be. And again, so I think Toni Morrison said this, that James Baldwin told her to thump the imaginary white man off your shoulder. So sometimes I'll be, because to remind myself that this is my work, this is the world that I'm constructing, this is the story that I want to tell, and I can't worry about. And I also know my audience. I'm not writing for. I know if white folks read my work, okay, fine, cool, but I'm not writing for them. But I write for us. So once I confronted that wall, writing the remainder of Ruby became easier because, again, I think that Jen said this also. You can definitely tell there are two different voices in the book. So I had to pretend to be a white woman to write Catherine, and then bring all of my blackness to write Lee. Wonderful question. Yes. More questions. Again, I know it's early, y'all. It's 9. I get it.
I think that's a hazard or a side effect of being a writer. Is that depending on our writing style, if we're writing a certain point of view, we literally have to become that character. We have to become the man, we have to become the woman, the children, the grandparents, the neighbors in the neighborhood who are talking noise just because they don't know what else is going on.
Right.
And it feels a little psychotic sometimes. Especially when you have to go to work the next morning.
Oh, man.
Because you're up until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, I gotta be up for 6.
Right.
Go. But it's also, I think, more authentic.
Yeah.
Because you know how you would react in a situation. So you are shape-shifting into this other character, this other person, to try to figure out how they're going to react.
Right.
And that's something I noticed that a lot of writers do, no matter the medium, whether it's short stories or novels or people who write movies or plays. They literally have to shift their perspective between their characters. Like, have you ever watched a movie and there's a villain and you know that's the bad guy, but there's something about that bad guy, that villain, that antagonist that makes you sympathetic to them.
Right.
That's part of the human experience. And that's a little bit of something that all writers do. It's like, because Thor was supposed to be like the main hero, the character in the Thor movies. How many people actually were like, nah, we rocking with Loki?
I mean, or watching the X-Men and be like, you know what, Magneto.
It's like,
Magneto. Like,
Killmonger
was a boy. Killmonger was a boy. Now,
but
I get it though.
My other Michael, because it was like, would you say Michael Myers? I would say Michael Myers to a point, because that was his religious views versus his societal pressure with his family. So to a point, you're like, I can kind of see where he went off the rails with this, but I wouldn't do it.
Right. It's not for me.
It's
not for me.
That's not my jam.
And like even with the popularity of the U series, there are people who are like, I've seen women online be like, Joe is bae, and then Finn Bagley, who plays Joe Goldberg, like, Joe is a bad person. Yeah. He's had to come out, and he's had to come out frequently. Joe is a bad person. Joe is killing people to get to the woman he wants, and then there are women. That's King energy. No, that's Bundy energy. No,
he's just going through
some things.
But we've also noticed like the rise of people who have fallen in love with serial killers based on the shows.
Right.
You're seeing the charismatic side.
What you saying?
Right. Like, he ain't a person,
bro.
He ain't a person.
Which goes into what I told last class. There is one of the questions posed last class was, why did I make the setting the 1950s for Reuben and Keys and Ruby to get together? I was able to pull in more of my familiar history, more of my social awareness. Because again, my mom and dad were born in 1948, 1950. So I was able to pull in some of their experiences into this also to make it more real. And again, and I said this also in last class, that us as Black folk, with the history that we have, right, that did not begin with slavery, I must emphasize that, there have always been Black folks in the background, right? Observing and watching, and again, W.E.B. Du Bois, the ways of white folks. Or no, that's the souls of Black folks. Langston Hughes said the ways of white folks. So there's always been Black folks knowing what's going on. So you see, and again, us in our ancestral Black knowing, we know that something is wrong with Catherine. We know something, like she's perfectly cooperative. Everything is together. Everything of the house, the kids, everything. She tries to manufacture her life, and we see a lot of white folks do this. to the point that, you know, as my mentor, Dr. Drusilla Wall at University of Missouri St. Louis, she said that this nation worships the master narrative. A white woman said this. And when pressed, she said the master narrative is the collection of literature that's done by the dominant culture. And we see the dominant culture is cis-het white male. They're the only people who, I know Dante. That was
a throat clear.
Wasn't told, was it? But we see that most quote unquote popular literature is done by cis-het white men. Not the best, right? Right. But you know, didn't James Patterson like write out his name?
Yeah, his wife wrote a lot of his novels. So you know, like so again, but the master narrative says that the only good book can be written by cis-het white men. So the only storytelling can be done by cis-het white men, which we all know is untrue. So again, bringing that context into Ruby, we as Black folks reading Catherine, we know something's wrong. Like, sis, you're doing too much. Yeah. Like, you know, even again, spoiler. So you see that when Ruben starts to really get sick and she starts to really lose control, the first thing she does is what? Give him more medication. Try to isolate him from people. Say everything is fine. You know, even when they had the car accident, and she goes to the hospital because now again she has to portray being the good wife, and the tech is singing to him because again I was a patient caretaker. I've been a CNA. I've had patients that I've had to kind of like, for my Black patients, I've had to step into, you know, I had to stop code switching, you know, to let them know that they're safe. I mean, there was one woman who I was taking care of. She was on the phone when I got in the room. She goes, "Oh, baby, I gotta go to nurses in here. I'm not a nurse, so I have my cranberry scrubs on." She said, "Oh no, she's Black. I'll be okay." She does. She's Black. I'll be okay. So I've had to have those moments where I shift identities in order to do what I need to do. But we see with Catherine again as Black folk that her whole life is a lie, and to the point that her daughter, right? We have one daughter who's trying to help her mother keep this lie together, and then Megan's like, "No, I don't. All of this is true." Right? Megan's about that life and 7 others. Even to the point that when they were doing the anniversary party, Megan says, "I ain't going to that sham ass event." Megan's like, I don't fool with this, because Megan sees her mother for, and again, right? Megan sees her mother for who she is. Her older daughter refuses to, or likes not to. But yes, more questions. Yes.
What was it like going from character to character mentally, and how did you, like, was there ever a time where your mind moved too fast that your hands couldn't follow your train of thought?
Yes.
And how did you combat that?
Man, the hardest part for me to write was actually the intermission. The end of the intermission, I knew I had to put something there that was so. I didn't want to write the intermission from a standpoint of trauma, but I knew there was going to be something that I had to put in that was so traumatic and so chaotic that it pulled them apart. Because if this man loves you and you love this man and y'all making these moves, y'all trying to get together, what could possibly break y'all apart? So writing the fire scene in the intermission was the hardest, because I could actually see it. And I know that, you know, for us as, you know, this collective of Blackness, so we've lost so many things in fire, so many things in, you know, violence from white people, so many things we have hidden from people. There are things that we as Black folk, and I'm even speaking for myself at this tender age of 43, that I may not tell my children because they're deep, right? So I had to write that scene in such a way that still gave Ruby power and still let the horror unfold. Just like what you see in the book, I used the color red a lot because her hair was red. And even, again, spoiler, as you go into part 2, Babs, aka Barbara, recognizes Ruby because her hair is red. Because she so happened to go to the hair salon, because, you know, us as Black girls, like, look, you know what? I'm gonna dye my hair, I'm gonna cut it. Something got to change. And from that change brought this man back to her, because they just happened to be in Memphis. He happened to see her, and here we go. But that was the hardest part. But shifting back and forth, it was hard because again, I'm not a white woman. So there were certain things that I was able to do as Catherine, but I wasn't able to do as Etheline. Because I am more familiar with Etheline's experience, because again, I have a mother that's Black, my parents were Black. So that accessibility of imagination was easier for me. Versus when I'm writing Catherine, I had to make her dislikable. I had to write her in a way that I knew white women could be. I had to perform, right? The mechanics of anti-Blackness through imagination to write her in such a way that as you read it again, because most Black folks have read it, that when you read Catherine, you're like, I know a bitch like this. You know, my mama worked with a bitch like that. I know, like, you know, again, most of the Black women have read it, have thrown it across the room, saying, my Aunt Lori included, who have said, I've worked with a woman like this. You know, I know women like this. And most Black women with our ancestral knowing will say, oh, I know she ain't about nothing.
She's nasty.
Right.
If even
that.
But pretends to be nasty.
Right. Just like in the car when Megan confronts her about being, you know, racist to her son. You know, and when she's confronted in her racism, she'll deflect back into whiteness. Like when she told Brian, because again, spoiler, when near the end of part 1, where Ruben's in the hospital, where you know it's touch and go for a minute, they ask him for his wife's name, and he says Etheline Lewis. Etheline is Ruby's real name.
So you have a Johnny Cash moment.
So he's asking for her. He's asking for her, and again, because of HIPAA and things like that, she had to prove that she was his wife. So now she tells Brian to go into her closet with the red pouch and get the documents. So when Brian, like a good son, he brings everything to his mom, and she sees the newspaper clippings that Ruben kept of her. Saw the faded letter. So again, we see her life beginning to fray more, to the point that when the tech is in there trying to get his vitals to do, again, a Black woman doing her job, and she's singing softly, and again, his mind isn't all the way there. He's like, "Oh, babe, you know, you sounded so good tonight." That she calls the tech, again, the Black woman doing her job, calls her a name, and tells the white nurse, "You can't control your Negro harlots." You know, so again, I had to perform the mechanics of whiteness to write her in such a way that you see why people don't like her. So I had to pull the veil back on that. Yes, Michael.
Sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
With White and the white character, did you take inspiration from white people in their white spaces, or did you write them based on the perception that you and people alike have of these people, of how they really are, and not how they portray to be?
Both. My children are biracial. Their father is white, and their paternal grandfather told their father, "I don't know if I can accept having Black grandchildren." I have been exposed to, you know, Missouri level racism. You know, I've been exposed to colorism, so I had to take these, and again, my mom, and there are things that my mom went through as a little girl, because she was one of the, sorry, mommy, but I can't tell all the incident, but she said she remembers when she was desegregating a high school in St. Louis, them throwing milk bottles at the school bus. There was an incident that my mom told me about, that when my dad was maybe like 7 or 8 years old, and the white teacher would put all the kids who got like hundreds and 10 out of 10 on the board. All the white kids were there, but she would never do that for him. So I call it these casual cuts. So I took all of that and put that into Catherine and put that into this world, also to show whiteness is a construct, because everything in this woman's life is constructed, and it's constructed watch this, is constructed for her comfort and nobody else. Because she's the only one that matters. And the only people who are willing to confront her in that are Barbara and Megan. And because Barbara is more intimate with that, again, Barbara's nice, nasty too. Because Barbara's like, you are with my brother, y'all are married. As long as he's fooling with you, I'm a fool with you. But the moment that y'all fall out, this is over with. So I had to take those incidences and put this into that. And that was more therapeutic than it was hard. Because which again, I think one of the reasons why I put my dad in this space, and also with the incident where Ruby gives him a hug after her set when she's in the pretty black gown, and he tells her, if I'm remembering correctly, he tells her that the people at the school think I can't be a doctor because I'm black, and she tells him, yes, you can. I mean, so that was me even reconciling what happened to my dad also. So again, taking all these incidences, taking all this pain and putting it somewhere and also solving it at the same time. Amy Tan does the same. Amy Tan says she does the same thing.
With the joy love.
Yeah. So rather than having that be something that paralyzed me, I'm like, okay, how can I use this and what can I use it for? And how can I balance that equation? Because if Catherine's gonna be ruckus, who gonna check her? Because if Catherine's gonna be about this, who gonna check her? And I had to make Babs equally as about that life to keep her in check. Because there was an instance where where Catherine starts smoking again. So because life is falling apart, and Babs comes over with like the black poucher bag and shows her the picture of Ethline and Reuben about to get married at the New Year's Eve party, and Catherine burns the picture in the kitchen. And Babs comes in and says, well, you can't burn a memory. So you can't burn a memory. And then, we see Catherine really, roar into her plantation mamminess, right? Where she's trying to take his house, take his money, get him committed. But Barbara had already planned and had that set. She was like, this house belongs to my brother. There's nothing in your name. You have nothing. Right? And I think the quote I use is, everything was about you, holiday, birthday, everything sponsored by the grand high bitch Catherine Lewis. So Barbara, so I had to make her the answer for her. So, because again, Catherine can't run around this camp unchecked. Barbara had her because she's like, you ain't gonna do my brother any kind of way. So I had to use all of that and as I like to call it, balance the equation for that. Because if Catherine's gonna be unchecked, somebody had to be willing to check her.
What I love about that is we don't see that in the real world as often.
Right.
White women checking themselves and each other.
Right.
You'll have some who co-sign the level of BS because we're recording. So my kids know me.
Right.
But they'll be like, oh, well, this is what I believe based on this. But who told you that? Is that based off of reality or a figment of someone else's imagination to bring us down a level?
Right.
But we see with this election going on, there are some people who are like, well, if Black people did this, it's like, we got us.
Right.
We know us. We know how to speak for ourselves and to ourselves as a community. Mm-hmm. You go talk to your brother. Go talk to your husband.
Right.
Go talk to little Timmy who got the AK-47.
But you won't go in his room because that's his room.
Right.
And a house you pay
You
for.
bought the AK-47 for him.
All I have is questions.
It's like, that's one question that we all keep asking ourselves. Like, how you got a military style weapon and you 12?
All I have
I got issues with that. So we're at the 41-minute mark. The wonderful future Dr. Jennifer Bush Harris.
Me, yes.
I'm
Speak it. Thank you.
She would sign your copies of Ruby
if you have
it today. So while she's doing that, I'm going to do diligence to make sure that y'all are marked at the present for today. But yes, and if you have any questions, two good peoples,
right?
Let's say I love her to pieces. And this way, y'all don't get on camera. Because I know to your shoot.
Oh Lord.
I know to your shoot.
Let's see, music. Yes. Did she do this on purpose? I can't hear you.
Who is it?
Hi.
Hey,
How are you doing?
Dante. I'm amazing. I this it's the second class, so I have one more class. How are you, beloved?
Great.
Are you proud of me?
Very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
Very proud. You really displayed.
You saw me in my element.
Yes, yes, yes. Fantastic, fantastic. Boy,
Hey.
you've done everything in this short period of time that I've always wanted to do my whole life.
Damn. Are you okay now?
Being
really?
and being educated. Started right there at TSU, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And to see what I would have liked to done to you was fantastic. That was great.
Thanks, Dad.
I really enjoyed just even the small part I had, because I had some things going this morning, and Charlotte called me and said, "Hey, she got another session. See if
Dad,
you get on to that."
But I'm recording it, so I told Mama Charlotte that I was gonna record everything and send everything to you.
But I'd rather see. I mean, that's great, but I'm glad I caught you though.
Daddy, don't make me cry.
This the realistic aspects of it.
Daddy, don't make.
I'm telling you, you were made to do this. You really were. And God had blessed me with the boldness to do those things like that. Man, I would have been, oh, I'd have been great. I love even just the short version that I saw. But I'm even at my older age, it's starting to come out in me now though, with my
right.
But I should have been doing this way back then, because it's what I love. I love to see that sort of thing. And I love our people to understand who they really are. And it came out in you today. It came out. I love that. I'm glad I caught it. Man, I would have been
and yes, Dad, my shirt really says well-behaved women seldom make history. It does say that. it really does say that.
All right. Gosh, you're good at this. You're so good at this. Man. So my prayers are that you travel all over the country doing this, because people need to hear from you.
Come on.
They need to hear you. They need to hear that voice, because I think our young people have no clue. You know, they try. I'm not mad at them, because they're trying.
Mm-hmm.
They need more of you. They need more people to tell the truth and tell it from the heart, you know, because our perception is always based on other people and what we were taught. Just like you were saying in the story, I heard a young man ask a question, or heard someone ask a question. They were saying that it's based on what they were told. Is this reality or what you were told? The reality part is the most important aspect, and you brought that out. You brought that out today. I like that. I like that.
And again, but you were on ground level with this, Dad. You the one said everybody sent Charlotte stuff. Nobody sent me stuff. and you got your signed copy. And Mama Charlotte been saying that Ruby gonna be a movie.
I tell you, it's man. I'll be the first one there to see.
Look, if God be for all of us, we are.
Look, this is a great girl. This is where it needs to be. I have so much. I have these in me. I can't get out. But listening to you today motivated me while to leave. You know, I have a in love a married woman. And it's about how we treat our you know, when I first told someone about it, they thought I was talking about having an affair. No married. And then I have this book in me.
Go to head me a second time. We're going to the ground.
Beaten.
Oh, you were pushing down on this guy.
And it's about abuse of a black.
Shut up. I did.
And how she
that was a problem.
With
he's a criminal.
Daddy, you can write it. And again, you're gonna be home in November, so we will brainstorm, and I will help you in whatever way I can.
Yeah, I need your help to get it out.
I am always here for you, Dad. At this point, I'm always here for you.
I appreciate it, girl. You showed out today, though. I just want to let you know.
Thank you.
In person, I would have killed to been in person, but boy, I know they loved you.
Look, my godfather John said this is what I'm supposed to be doing. He said he'd have given anything to be in class today.
Yes.
So I sweat.
Look, we're gonna have like 2 different versions of the recording, so
right.
And I'll send you this one too.
See, but Dad, I got you.
All right.
Thank you.
We will get together when I get home, and we're gonna spend some time talking about this a little bit more, and of course, eating some great food.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you for inviting me.
My other mother said that you needed your own link.
Yeah,
Charlotte said that you needed your own link.
Yeah, and she she told me that, and what I did is I was rushing through something I was doing at work, and then I said I can't find it. I panicked. She sent me a text saying it's in your email. It's in your email, honey.
And you know I'm doing it tomorrow too, Dad.
Yeah, I heard.
So I will make sure that I send you and Mama Charlotte all the pictures, so
Okay.
you can blow them up over on the big paper.
Yeah,
On the
that'd
big
be
paper.
great.
So then you could tell people my daughter was at TSU.
TSU, baby.
Then that
Ah.
so that way you can be completely happy and flex on people at the same time.
Baby. Same time. But you're back at school, and that means it really does.
Thanks.
But
I'm gonna go ahead and take my 10 deep breaths before I cry for this last session starts. So because my daddy was here and he poured into me a little bit, and I'm gonna try not to cry. So I'm gonna sit in my chair for a minute. Thank you, Dad.
Love you.
Love you.
Talk to you soon, okay?
Okay.
Bye-bye. Oh, Father God, in the mighty name of Jesus, bless her, Lord. She is making this. Oh, in the mighty name of Jesus.
Hey, Cookie, did you mean to unmute?
It was an accident.
Oh, never mind. Oh, Dante said hi, Cookie.
Hi.
Make sure.
So
Fun Belladonna together. We'll get you.
Oh, right, together.
Okay.
All right, beloveds. This ends day 1. I thought it was gonna go to 11, but it's going to 10. So I thank y'all so much. Y'all are the best. I love each and every last one of you. I will be back tomorrow at 8-ish. So you all should still have the link for day 2.
9.
Oh, at 9 tomorrow. So yeah, we'll get it together. I love y'all so much. Thank you. I'm gonna go cry and take my pictures and be cute. Love y'all, bye.
Gonna be cute. You are